speaking of youthful, not youthful, Joe Biden in the early to mid stages of dementia, being wheeled out in front of America as the candidate to change America, okay, and hand the baton over to the socialists who are really running our country right now. If you notice, the Democratic National Convention, to kick it off, okay, so no matter what you do, okay, think about like the lead-off. You know, even if you're going on a concert tour, you got to get a warm-up band that rocks it. You know what I'm saying? Like to kick it off, to get it going, a concert. Think about a baseball team. You got to put a great player in the lead-off spot to get things going. You know what I mean? On a kickoff return, you got to put your fastest guy back there. Even if he's a moron and he runs backwards sometimes, because you got to get a good kickoff return to start the game. It's all about the leadoff. And when the Democratic National Committee racked their brains for the party that won the House overwhelmingly in the blue wave with all freshman diversity and women and minorities and youthful people and all that other stuff, the one person they wanted to kick off this new movement, Bernard Sanders, in the leadoff spot for the DNC. Okay, so you had two basically septuagenarians duking it out for the last few months, and then to energize the base, let's wheel out Bernie Sanders. That's going to pump up the crowd. And Bernie Sanders, for those of you not keeping a complete scorebook at home, is not even a Democrat. Isn't that funny? So let's wheel out an 80-year-old independent to tell all these Democrats why they got to hop on the Joe Biden train. Let's get on the Biden train. Imagine. The Biden train is like, remember when you were a kid, you had those little ones, the wood ones with the magnet in the butt, and you could like magnet like 2 or 3 together, you know? That's the only train Joe Biden is. If anybody got on the Biden train, he'd collapse, okay? That's for sure. Now, if you're looking close at what they're offering you in their candidate, okay, this is the guy who was the author of the '94 crime bill that unfairly persecuted minorities and threw them in jail for 10s and 20s of years for nonviolent small drug crimes. He was the author, and let's see how he's evolved over the years in one of his rare recent speeches.
Must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that.
You heard it yourself. He's evolved quite a bit, hasn't he? Not really. I mean, he did at one point utter the great words that poor kids are just as smart as white kids. He was more recently featured on the amazing political commentator Charlemagne the God's radio show, The Breakfast Club, and uttered these great words that if you're not sure if you're voting for me or Trump, then you ain't black. Okay? And then at a Muslim forum where he was being told to pander for their votes, he said to the person he was speaking to that, you know, your religion needs to be taught more in our schools. This is how he's evolved. Because you see, way back when Joe Biden was talking about, we got to get these thugs off the streets. And now he's saying that, okay, they must peacefully protest because we have to defund the police. That's where Joe Biden is today. I guess, you know, when the thugs were coming after his mom with the lead pipe, we got to get them off the streets. But now that they're going after Trump folks, and things have gotten so bad now that, you know, every night you hear shooting, killing, and 2 Antifites killed, 2 shot, 1 wounded, 1 Trump person shot, 1 killed, 1 wounded. And we had Terrence K. Williams on here the other day, and let's take a look at what where Terrence weighs in on Trump supporters getting shot.
Trump supporter was just murdered in Portland last night, shot and killed. And guess what? The media don't care. And I'm going to tell you why they don't care. Because they don't even have it in their headlines that a Trump supporter was murdered. All they are putting is one killed. One? No, you need to put a Trump supporter was shot and killed. Not one person was killed. No, a Trump supporter was murdered in cold blood. And they don't give a damn.
I think Terrence put it quite eloquently. We'll have to get him back on soon and see if this continues. But it sure is getting out of hand. Maybe Jen Kerns, former spokesperson for the California Republican Party, maybe she had it right before. Maybe Trump should just, use the Insurrection Act and start going into these places and throwing a big old can of whoop ass on these groups, and just quell it. But on the other hand, you see, Fredo Cuomo and Don Lemon and others on the left now, they're starting to say, hey, can you please come out and denounce the rioters, because it's really not looking good for us. The rioters make people think they're unsafe, and we need people to be fooled into thinking they're safe just until they vote for you. So now they're trying to encourage Joe Biden to come out and denounce the rioters and the Antifa and all. And I think he did like some half-hearted something or other, but not enough. School moms, soccer moms, they're watching. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, they're all watching. And they know if we ain't got no cops, we ain't got no safety and security, and it's no way to live. So I think it's going to be a romp for Trump. But we cannot take our foot off the gas pedal one bit, and you got to fight until, they used to say in football, the echo of the whistle.